The art of developing truly global leaders. And the subject I chose was globalism and leadership. The presentation agenda for this article is as there are areas of content that I will share and discuss. The article summary, what is global leadership, art and science, inadequacy of global leaders, inclusive leadership skills, mastering the art, and of course the references. And directing and influencing unlikeness. The article summary are the bullets I will discuss. Is global leadership? Is it an art or a science? Global leadership. Is it an art or a science? Lack of global leaders, directing and influencing differences. The title of the article is The Art of Developing Global Leadership, and the article is retrieved from the Harvard Business Review and written by Beth Brooke. Beth Brooke discusses that the global leadership is not only a science but an art to developing leadership to its fullest potential. Beth Brooks' article discusses that while learning the science of leadership will keep emerging global firms growing, but only by mastering the art will they become giants. And while it is obvious that global leadership requires the know-how to align and leverage the efforts of employees around the world and build global cross-cultural competence as a critical business skill, but the article indicates that it takes humility to accept that someone else might have a better idea. In other words, the science of leadership, as well as understanding the art of it, will create successful and vast organizations. When I think of vast and successful organizations, technology, media organizations like Google, Microsoft, and Facebook, they first come to mind because they are so global. However, Beth states that organizations can achieve maximum growth and success if the science and art of global leadership is developed and practiced. The science includes the ability to engage in wisdom of crowds and social networks to innovate and grow the business in new markets. The art of leadership involves mastering the values and habits that are hard to measure or instill through a step-by-step process. Currently, senior leadership in many organizations are discovering inadequacy in leadership within emerging global organizations developing in China, India, and Brazil. Much of this is because the focus has been on the skill of leadership instead of laying the course and gaining position and variance. A leader who will not only have to be generally effective in the traditional skills aspect, but also with additional knowledge, skills, and above all, a mindset to navigate through the complexities brought on by moving beyond one's traditional borders. Directing and influence and likeness would involve navigating through the diversity of a different culture successfully. This should include inviting various new viewpoints, encouraging individuals to think out of the box, but still working towards a common goal. More effective communication and shared feedback will create a successful team. And here is a slide that it just has images on it. It's global leadership. And again, it requires confidence and management ability to build and execute talent is what this is portraying. Many agree that the idea of adaptive and fluid leadership is still a growing concept. Flex, the new playbook for managing across differences, is a book that I chose to reference for this article. It states that we are simply not taught how to relate to people from other backgrounds, and these skills of flexing are not adequately taught in the educational system, undergraduate programs, or even business schools. The rationale for this book written is to learn to acknowledge differences and learn to flex our management styles to those different from us. The next slide again is global leadership, and the two bullet points are fluent leader and a cultural fluency. An affluent leader is someone who is able to effectively bridge distances between themselves and their colleagues and get the most out of each employee by adapting his own leadership style in order to meet team members part ways and help to bridge the distance between them. The chief executive officer or even a chief operating officer are not necessarily the most fluent leaders because they may not have the necessary artistic ability to pass it forward. Cultural fluency is the ability to make efforts to understand and appreciate other cultures. The next slide is art and science. And the three bullet points are belief, ability, and commonality. The art and science of leadership is adapting to accommodate the power gap, practicing a belief system intrinsic to successful leadership, the ability to switch behaviors and styles in order to communicate more effectively with those who are different from you, sharing common interests like the company or music or even sports. Commonality indicators are achieved by refraining from positioning your way as the only way to get things done. The next slide again is art and science, and the bullet points are functional practice, commitment to assessment and growth, and contributions. Now, that book article indicates that art means having values and habits that are hard to measure, but it is present in a successful organizational culture. Having processes that are part of the organization's practice that stimulates growth. Having and being committed to creating talent that is more valuable than their own. Individually contributing while pursuing a common mission for the organization. The next slide is inadequacy of global leaders. And here I have bullet points, and I won't uh, mention all of them, but today's companies are able to cultivate the tools and processes of world-class talent management. However, they reveal inadequacies in the more understated strengths. Because of this, they struggle with talent shortfalls. Global leaders experience problems that severely restricts the development of international expansion. The biggest culprit here is the inability to manage a global diverse team. Many senior leaders are becoming increasingly aware that management in their organization does not offer longevity experience for managing an assortment of employees, and this has resulted in many experiencing high turnovers of employees and are forced to offer high wages to some talented employees to support this kind of talent. The next slide is inclusive leadership skills. And the bullet points, as you see, are connecting with differences, communicating with compassion, and building bridges within and between groups. And most leaders in any global organization believe that they are inclusive and they practice diversity. They would say that their talented employees have differences including backgrounds, genders, and age. However, research suggests that in practice it takes time to conquer this. It takes time to listen to people express ideas in unfamiliar accents or styles. I personally feel that while belonging is important, but in many parts of the world, it isn't sufficient to engender a sense of inclusion. Global inclusive leadership have to balance the need for uniqueness and belonging. Mastering the art. And the bullet points here are customizing and individualizing, authenticity, and power gap. Global leadership includes providing the processes as a science to keep emerging global firms growing, but only by mastering the art of it will they become colossus. Now, Flex, the book that I'm referencing, also indicates the following: by customizing, individualizing your approach to the person and the situation, being authentic by revealing who you are and what you value and projecting that towards others, decreasing the power gap. Miscommunication is what that means with team members, offering a variety of responses for adaptability and fluency. These skills are included in the art of flexing and are important in mastering the art of global leadership. And The final slide is directing and influencing unlikeness. And it also means navigating the differences of a diverse culture, establishing relationship, building one-on-one with team members is important to building trust. Equally important is creating a connection with a shared vision for the company. These were areas that that my senior leadership, that my previous senior leadership failed to acknowledge, that they lacked cultural fluency. Brazil was one of the countries that I would communicate with daily, as a team member for necessary data and system implementation. And this article held special interest for me because there were many instances of miscommunication between the team members and senior management there. And this management was particularly intolerant of inadequate processes that were done, and work management timeframes that were not kept. And during team meetings, the conversations usually centered around and suggested that these these employees, quote unquote, were just inconsiderate and do not make timely attempts to accommodate requests. Now, these types of experiences can be overcome by directing and influencing diversity when developing global leadership. And the last page, of course, is the references. Again, thank you. And this is Elizabeth Carr.